Welcome back to the Team to Be Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. So Jonathan Kuminga has officially asked out of Golden State, and he's now eligible to be traded. And according to multiple reports, Miami is a destination he would welcome. And now we've got a proposed framework floating around, and some of these trade proposals from ESPN, Bleacher Report, CBS can be kind of ridiculous at times, but one right now that is floating around is that the Golden State Warriors can trade Jonathan Kuminga and a 2026 first round pick to the Miami Heat for Norman Powell. So, interesting trade, in my opinion, even though I do love Norman Powell. Not sure what I think about this, but the real question for this possibility becomes, should the Miami Heat actually do this? And does Jonathan Kuminga really fit with what Miami is trying to build? So we'll break that down in this episode. Why Jonathan Kuminga wants out of Golden State? We've seen for years he's been frustrated, and this didn't come out of nowhere. Despite his talent, his role with the Golden State Warriors has been really inconsistent. His minutes are constantly fluctuating. He's in and out of the lineup and rotation. He has a short leash under head coach Steve Kerr, and his usage doesn't really match his skill set. And he's a former number 7 overall pick, and that's a tough pill to swallow for the Golden State Warriors, and having to trade him now because he demanded a trade. And Kuminga believes that he can honestly play better with more opportunity on a different team if they can showcase him. And a team needs to take a chance on letting him grow and make those mistakes and not punish him for those mistakes. It's very similar to what Spo is doing to Kel'el Ware, but Kel'el's only in his second year. Kuminga is now in his fourth year. But this is where Miami comes in. So why would Miami even consider this? Let's talk about why they would consider this, especially with Norman Powell in this trade scenario. And I'm not saying this is the only trade route for the Miami Heat that they should consider, but Norman Powell has been outstanding for the Miami Heat, averaging nearly 24 points per game, shooting 41% from three, carrying this offense as their primary scorer, especially when Tyler Herro has missed basically most of the season. But here's the problem for the Heat, if it is considered a problem. Powell is eligible for a 4-year, $129 million extension. And the Miami Heat have not committed yet. He's 32 years old, so he is getting a little bit older and probably is an all-star. He might make his first all-star this season. So very rare you see a guy at age 32 become a first-time all-star and become like a number one option on a team, even though having Norman Powell as your number one option on a team means you're not going to win a championship. But I do love Norman Powell. And when you look at the books, though, Bam next season is making 50. Tyler's going to be making around 50, 34. And Andrew Wiggins has a player option unless we trade him for $30 million. Herro is eligible for an extension, so he's going to want more money. I know he's going to want at least $40 million plus a season. And so he wants a raise. At some point, the money just stops making sense. Kuminga wants a raise on another hand as well, but he hasn't proven anything at this point. He has a $24 million team option next season. So the thing about Kuminga is he's a younger prospect. He fits a longer competitive window for a team. And that's a huge reason why this conversation even exists. Kuminga's fit with the Miami Heat is he would fit into that timeline of developing younger players. And the two players that are the older players and the trade pieces that we technically have, unless we get rid of Tyler Herro, is, and I wouldn't trade Tyler Herro for Kuminga, obviously, but Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins. Those are the two guys on expiring contracts that are 31, 32 years old. Kuminga's like 23 years old. He would fit in with Tyler, who's 25, Bam, who's 28, Pella, Nico, Jaime, like Kasparis. Like that would be a younger team that we can kind of rebuild, or not really rebuild because we still have Tyler and Bam, but build around and try to consolidate a trade eventually for a star, ultimately, is what the Miami Heat should be doing. But when it comes to Kuminga, though, he is young and he does have a skill set. Obviously, he's an explosive downhill athlete. He's strong. He's a physical wing defender. He can guard multiple positions. He attacks the rim, something badly that the Miami Heat needs. At 6'8", with real power, he gives the Miami Heat something they don't have much of. A young athletic forward who can bend a defense without needing plays run for him. And Spo loves small ball, just like Kerr, and he would be someone that he could slot in at that four. Like Wiggins plays at the four sometimes too. So imagine him next to Bam Adebayo. Imagine if we keep Wiggins and we have both those guys. That would be a new added 3-and-D wing on this team with a lot of upside. Herro provides the spacing. Miami's development system can definitely help polish him and give an opportunity to Kuminga, which makes it intriguing. But the concerns are with Kuminga is he's not a finished product. There are red flags. He does have an inconsistent jumper. His decision making could be shaky. He's not a natural shooter or playmaker, and his handle needs to improve, obviously. So he needs maybe more structure and accountability. And the Heat are not a patient franchise. You can see that again with Khalil Ware, referencing to what Spo is doing right now, which I think is ridiculous with Khalil Ware to a certain degree. But anyway, the Heat don't tank. They don't hand out minutes for development's sake. You have to earn them, and that's what Spo does. Like he's the same way as Kerr. Like if you're messing up and not stacking up good games, he could stifle Kuminga's ability as well, and you'll probably trust Wiggins over him as well. So who knows if that's the right fit? But the question becomes: can Kuminga buy into the Miami Heat culture fast enough? If he does, this could be one of the Heat fix-it situations with a young player, and if he doesn't, then you've moved on from a proven scorer who has potential in Norman Powell. So that's the key issue there. But the draft pick is huge. Are the Warriors willing to attach a draft pick to get rid of him? I don't know if they would, but a 2026 first rounder in a stacked draft gives the Miami Heat an opportunity to draft a player or use that to trade. And the Golden State Warriors are aging, and the post-Steph era is coming up sooner than later. And even Steve Kerr admitted the team is not a dynasty anymore, obviously. And that pick could age very well. And for the Miami Heat, that's a swing. You're not just betting on Kuminga. You're betting on the future. You're betting on flexibility and having more assets to trade. If a Giannis, which he's not going to ask for a trade, miraculously does, or if someone else becomes available. But would Golden State do this from a Warrior side? I think so. Like they've already shown that they can trade young talent for win now pieces. They have Jimmy Butler, they have Steph, they have Draymond. They need to extend and add different pieces around them. Win now players right now, veterans that they believe in, and they don't believe in Kuminga, and he's not going to have that opportunity. So Powell, in this case, gives them immediate scoring next to Steph, gives them a reliable offensive option in big moments. Or anybody else. Not just saying I would trade Norman Powell. If you could trade other things for him, even if we just trade like an expiring contract in Terry Rozier and give them Fontecchio, who's like a 3-point shooter and gives them a little bit of size, that would be amazing. They wouldn't give us the first round pick, obviously, in that case, but maybe we give them something else. I don't know. I would prefer not to trade Norman Powell, but still, that's the question is, do you really want to trade like a Norman Powell? I am hesitant on that because I think it is a gamble. You're betting on youth, essentially, which is what Kuminga is. He's a young guy. You're betting on development over a short-term time frame. Again, he doesn't have an extended contract. Like if the Miami Heat pick up his player option, he becomes a free agent after that, unless they extend him. So that's the issue, I think. Is it risky with him, with Kuminga? It definitely is a risk because, again, he's not that spacer, like that 3 and D type guy like Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is streaky when it comes to his three, but he's a better 3-point shooter than Kuminga. But Miami, they don't win championships by playing it safe. And let's be honest, the Miami Heat, this team is not good enough to win a championship. They're currently 7-16 versus teams above 500. They simply just beat the bad teams and they lose to the better teams. And that's a team that's stuck in the middle. And they need to pick a direction right now because they're doing the blended build with developing some young guys and playing with their veterans like Bam and Wiggins and playing with Norman Powell and whoever. But like this team is kind of just stuck in the middle. It seems like even when they get healthy, they still lose games that they should be winning. They blow double-digit victories. Their offense is not good enough at this point, and the way it's constructed, doesn't make sense. So do you want to throw in a young 23 athletic wing to see if you can change this team's ability to win in the future? Maybe. I don't know how I feel about this, honestly, but if they give a first-round pick, that's huge. I just hate the idea of giving up Norm, honestly, but this Miami Heat team is just so inconsistent that they need to consider trading Norm or Andrew Wiggins to honestly get new capital because they don't tank. There's no other way they can get assets because they don't tank and they only get late draft picks. And those guys are not going to be franchise cornerstone players that can change your team overnight. Like an Anthony Edwards 5 years ago, a Luka Doncic 8 years ago or whatever year he's in, and or a Castle, a Wemby, or a Cooper Flag. Like we don't get to pick in the top 10. And because of that, then we need to take chances on risky players. And so I don't know what direction I want to go in, but this is something the Miami Heat need to think about. And we have time until February 5th. So it's about 3 weeks away or so until the deadline. So should the Miami Heat do this, guys, let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.